When Wolf Blitzer interviewed the family, Falcon revealed that his parents had cooked up this entire ruse as a publicity stunt.
A ruse is a trick of some type to confuse the enemy or confuse the opposition to give time to defeat them. So a ruse means an action that is intended to defeat someone or trick them in some way. So a prank is actually a ruse, but the intention is not to necessarily cause the other person any extreme sort of harm, but just to either humiliate them or in some cases maybe even to hurt them, but not that seriously. Where a fraud is also a ruse, but the idea is to trick the person out of their money, something valuable. Similarly, in the military, they use ruses a lot. And the idea is to trick the enemy into thinking something differently than what you want them to think. And the idea is to trick the enemy to think something differently than what is really going on to give time to defeat them. One very famous example is that when one famous example is before D-Day in World War II, the Allies created a very elaborate ruse to try to convince the Germans that they were going to land right across the English Channel at the shortest possible distance from Dover, when they were actually landing on a completely different area, Normandy, which was a longer distance but less highly defended. So the ruse worked, D-Day worked, and the Allies won the war, partly because of that ruse. With electrical companies nowadays, some people are getting a ruse where the electrical companies will try to get their account number that they can then use to automatically change them to their electrical company. And they try to trick the people into thinking that they're just using it to compare rates. Similarly, other people will get people to call them and ask them for their social security number or their credit card number. But then they'll use that information to defraud the people.
In exchange for his 15 minutes of fame, Papa Heaney was sentenced to 90 days in jail and paid tens of thousands in restitution.
Restitution is compensation for injury or loss. It pretty much means to restore something. It originally means to restore or to restitute something, which means to replace a loss of some type. So if somebody gets injured, then maybe the insurance company will offer them restitution, or they can get restitution in court, or some other way of making up for their loss. So if you're driving your car and you get into an accident and you cause somebody's car to get damaged or cause them injury, you may be asked to give restitution or compensation to make up for the damage that you caused. A good example is after World War II, the Germans were shown to have murdered a lot of people. So the German government offered restitution to the victims and also to other groups to try to make up for what they did. In recent years, a lot of people have been shown to be not guilty of crimes for which they previously got convicted, and the state has oftentimes offered restitution, oftentimes millions of dollars, to try to make up for the time that these people spend in prison. But a lot of people think there's no way that you can truly pay restitution for taking away years and years of somebody's life.
Unable to fathom the idea that Beyonce's Single Ladies didn't win, Kanye Kanye jumped on stage, stole Swift's mic, and proclaimed that his beloved Beyoncé was the true victor.
To fathom means to understand something, typically a problem that is very, very difficult or very mysterious. Can also be a person who is enigmatic or mysterious, where you don't understand the person even after study and thought. The original idea comes from the distance of a fathom, which is 6 feet, which is how they will measure the depth of water for a boat. So you might say the water is 10 fathoms deep, which means that it's 60 feet deep. Or if it's very deep and you can't even figure out how deep the water is, you would say that the water is unfathomable. And similarly, if there's a situation that you don't understand, you say the situation is unfathomable. During the 9/11 terrorist attack, after the first plane hit the First World Trade Center, people tried to fathom what was going on. And by the time they realized that it was a terrorist attack, the second plane hit the second building, and a lot of people died because they didn't evacuate the building in time. I've been studying calculus for the last 2 months, and for the life of me, I can't fathom what's going on. And I just hope I can get through this course and get a decent grade.
That's all for today. Tom Taylor is an ESL tutor. He teaches English in the United States and outside, all over the world, using Skype. He can be reached at his website, which is
ESL-fullsteamahead.com.
Click on this link and check out his website and email with questions. Thank you, Tom, and I'll talk to you next time.
Thank you.